Rita Michelle here at Organic Mothering, and I just wanted to introduce myself because I have been writing this blog, Organic Mothering, since 2011, but I've actually never made a video for it. And I thought that since I like YouTube videos so much, and some people they don't have time to read through a bunch of stuff, and this is a more personal way to share about certain topics. So I'm doing this right here on my laptop. I don't have a special camera that takes videos. I don't have a tripod. I don't have any modern technology as far as, the quality of video that you might usually see. I won't be editing this. It's just going to be what you see is what you get. So hopefully it will go smoothly, and I'll try not to let it run too long. I wanted to talk about my journey to vegetarianism and recently to the decision to go vegan. Now, health, nutrition, things like that, that's a topic of this blog. But I haven't really talked about it too much in terms of exactly why I'm a vegetarian. And I wanted to share now why I want to also become vegan. And this will probably be more than one part to this video. This blog also covers topics like homeschooling. I'm a Catholic mother and wife living in the Midwest, and we homeschool. We have one child. She's a teenager, and right now she's outside with her friend, and my husband's not home, so I'm hoping I can do this without interruption. Anyway, so a lot of the topics that I discuss on my blog have to do with home education, Catholic faith, connection between those. And so I've recently started looking into whether there's also a connection between Christianity, between the faith and veganism as well. And I think that there is. But anyway, just to kind of get the ball rolling, I am 49 years old. I think I became vegetarian somewhere between age 26 and 28. I know I was in my mid to late 20s. I was vegetarian, had been vegetarian for a while by the time I met my husband when I was 30, and he was vegetarian too. So it's been a long time. It's been a long time, but I have had meat since becoming a vegetarian. How it started was with just giving up beef. And if you're a beef eater and you're thinking about vegetarianism, that's a good way to start, is just cutting out the red meat. I think I cut out all red meat, actually. So that would have included, I guess pork is a white meat. I don't know. I think I cut out the beef and the bacon of the pig products first. And then later, I gave up the poultry, so turkey, chicken. I don't eat pheasant or never have any other birds like that. But, and then just did fish for a while, so technically a pescatarian, primarily vegetarian. So I had a friend from college I continued to be friends with for a number of years after, and she was vegetarian. And I was curious about it, and she wasn't pushy, she wasn't dogmatic or anything. She just told me why she was vegetarian. And I don't remember all the reasons, but I do remember her talking about the turkeys and how they, are processed along this conveyor belt, hung by their necks, and that they're then, slaughtered, decapitated, and they know what's coming because they hear the distress cries of all the turkeys in front of them, and that the chemicals, the stress hormones and, those chemicals, probably the fight or flight instinct, that rush of adrenaline, all of those chemicals have flooded their bodies at the moment of death. And then we are consuming those chemicals that are still in the flesh of the bird. So I thought that was really interesting. I never heard of that before. And the animal cruelty aspect, which is one reason that many people become vegetarian and vegan, wasn't really on my radar. It was more about my own health. Um, Also, I lived alone. I was single. I worked as a teacher, Montessori teacher, um, probably at that time. I'm not sure. But anyway, I did, I lived paycheck to paycheck. And so there was excuse me, economical benefit as well. Just not having to purchase meat was going to save me money. But then you have the cultural um, aspect that plays into it that can make it difficult. Like my dad made great barbecue chicken. I mean, he had perfected that recipe over a number of years. And if I went home to visit my family and he was making barbecue chicken, it was, at first I still had to eat that chicken. Even when I had basically decided to give up poultry, I still felt like I wanted to be part of my family. I wanted to, fit in, and the taste was darn good, right? And then, of course, at Thanksgiving, I mean, that is a national tradition. You eat the turkey. So I saw the cutest video once that reminds me. The turkeys that survived Thanksgiving, and this was just on the news, it's just, and they were playing "We Are the Champions" by Queen, and these turkeys were running around joyfully excited because they had survived, and I just thought that was so cute. But you don't think about, you just don't think about um, turkeys as sentient beings that have feelings. You don't think of chickens that way. You might not even think of cows and pigs that way. But I have discovered that the emotional intelligence of a pig is on a par with a dog. Okay, so slaughtering pigs for food is on the same level as killing dogs for food. You don't eat your dog, I'm assuming. Um, so anyway, so I started out, gave up the red meat, then the poultry, then the fish. I went back and forth with for a while. It was easy to go to a restaurant when I still ate fish. I could always get that, on the menu. Didn't have to be a vegetarian restaurant. So I did catch some flack from it. One family member accused me of just becoming a vegetarian for attention, to try to get attention. And that was interesting to me because you know what? I lived alone. I had a cat, but she didn't know or care. So typically I was eating by myself. And as a teacher, I would leave the classroom and I would run out and get food, maybe eat it in my car, or I'd go down to our adult education center and there might be one other person there, but a lot of times I was eating there by myself because the lunch times were staggered for the teachers. We didn't all eat at once. And so, it wasn't that often really that I was eating in front of anybody else. So what attention was I getting? No. But it's just the point of this story is people will misunderstand. Okay, they're so attached to their meat they can't imagine not having it, or I don't know. Um, it makes people uncomfortable because when people are set in their particular habits and they don't think anything of it, they don't think about whether it's right or wrong, because that's the culture and everybody does it. It can make people feel really uncomfortable when you make a countercultural choice. Then they might have to look at themselves. It's the same with homeschooling. A lot of objections to that because, well, am I saying somebody who still sends their kid to school is a bad parent? Or they're just, judgmental toward the homeschooler, thinking, well, why does she think she's smart enough to be able to do that? Or they just don't really, the socialization issue always comes up, and they think homeschooling families are isolated and the kids don't have a social life, or they're going to turn out weird because they're not going to know how to act properly in different situations. The list goes on. Usually academics is not even a big concern, although if your kid doesn't read fluently, I mean fluently, by age 6. Okay, at age 6, I was reading Dick and Jane in school. Okay, that's the cat in the hat. 3 and 4 letter phonetic words at age 6. But now the kids are expected to already be reading in the schools when they go in, to already be reading. And so if your kid is, not fluent at 6, then people might think you're not doing a good job. So anyway, that's on a total different tangent. But I'm just saying that if you make a countercultural choice of any kind and you're doing things differently than other people, in the vast majority, even eating organic. Okay, so that leads me to the next thing. So my husband and I, when we were dating, like his idea of vegetarianism was a lot of soy burgers. We didn't know about GMOs, so we weren't eating GMO-free organic soy burgers. We were just eating soy, whatever was in them. And then he bought these frozen burritos, and so I wouldn't say that until we got married, we really started to think about doing a lot more home cooked meals. And then becoming a mother, that totally changed it for me. Now I had to provide for the nutrition and the health of another human being who was my responsibility. And when I found out I found out from a homeschooling co-op we belonged to, one of the mothers there was a Girl Scout troop leader. And her girls were in the first and second grade. Okay, first and second grade, 25 girls, 6 to 7 years old. 9 out of 25 had started their periods. By the second grade, 9 out of 25 were in their periods. Some of them in the first grade had even started. So one of the causes that's been researched is that this is a result of growth hormones in meat and dairy. So even though we didn't eat meat at that moment, I told my husband, okay, if our daughter starts her period at 6 or 7 years old, her childhood is over, and we're not letting that happen. So we made sure that the dairy that we consumed was no RBST, and had a label on it that said no growth hormones, or was organic, which automatically does mean that there are no growth hormones. And she didn't start till she was a teenager. So thanks be to God. And I also noticed kids are just much bigger. I don't even just mean the obesity problem, but that they're just taller, bigger. It seems unnatural. So anyway, so there were all those considerations, and now I'm finding that even with the organic dairy, it's not necessarily going to mean that the animals are treated humanely. Yes, the organic regulations will make the product healthier for human consumption, so it's better for us, sure, but not necessarily better for the animal. And while, of course, the factory farms are in every way much worse, you still have a lot of issues even with organic dairy. So, just like if you're vegan, but you're not eating organic produce or non-GMO produce, you still are going to have a lot of health issues. So the veganism thing is now on my radar, and it's just a cause I'm feeling very passionate about. Clear back when I started with the vegetarianism, there was the story my friend told me. But then there was also something I read in a book. And this was a non-selfish reason to become vegetarian. And it wasn't about animal cruelty. It was about the problem with poverty in the world. So in order to feed one person beef, okay, the same acreage, the same land needed to feed one person from beef, because think about it, the cow has to graze on that land, okay? That same land could feed 30 people if you grew food they could consume directly, like soybeans. So you can feed one person on meat with the same land. You could feed 30 people if you grew a product like soybeans. So you can feed 2 people or 60 people. 3 people or 90 people, 10 people or 300 people. So you start to see the magnitude of how this affects not just animals, but people, our health, the health of the planet, the rainforest. It's just being obliterated to create farmland in its place because of the demand of the beef industry just for Americans. It's mostly for us. Okay, so this land is being destroyed, this ecosystem that the whole planet depends on, by the way. It's not just about the species of plants and animals that are disappearing, never to be seen again. That's one issue. But it also affects the climate for the whole planet. Okay, we depend on the rainforest, depend on all our ecosystems to be healthy for the whole planet to be healthy. And then with these big industrial farms coming in and converting the rainforests into farmland, okay, that's taking the livelihood away from those local farmers in the developing countries, okay? So it's impoverishing the people that live there, all right? Their land is being taken away. And I'm not just talking about rainforest land. I'm talking about land in developing countries that has been eaten up by American growers and leaving the local peoples without those resources, without that livelihood. So, and then there's the wildlife that is inadvertently killed because of farmland, trying to keep the wild animals away from the chickens and keep them from disturbing the production of our livestock leads to wildlife being caught in traps and things like that being killed. I could just go on and on, but I just wanted to focus on right now my journey from veganism or from vegetarianism to veganism. And so it's just this Lent, okay? Some Christians practice, celebrate Lent, which is a liturgical season in our church year, 40 days leading up to Easter. And it's a time of penance, a time of prayer, deeper prayer. It's a time for abstinence and fasting. So usually people give something up for Lent. And I decided, I was inspired by the Daniel fast, actually. Initially, a Christian friend of mine, she had just finished the Daniel fast, and when she mentioned it, I got a book right away, The Ultimate Guide to the Daniel Fast, and it's a vegan diet, and it's designed for 21 days. So I thought, well, I could do that for Lent, but there was so much you couldn't eat. It wasn't just taking away the dairy. I already didn't eat meat. That wasn't a big deal. It wasn't just taking away the dairy. And I planned to give up caffeine. That was on the Daniel fast, especially coffee. I have had some tea. But I've been, mostly caffeine free. And give up also wine, which is the only alcohol I drink. So just to be healthier, hopefully lose some weight, and use that as a spiritual practice to grow closer to God, because we have to depend on Him more if we don't have all of our, bodily comforts. And we learn, what it feels to be hungry, or to not have that instant gratification when we feel a craving for something. Sugar is, I'm going to adjust this. It seems to kind of be going out of focus a little. But sugar is a problem for me, and the Daniel fast cut out all sweeteners. And that I knew that I wouldn't be able to give up like everything. It just wasn't going to happen. But anyway, I haven't missed not having the dairy. And it's made me more creative. I've looked at recipes and gone out and bought ingredients I don't usually have so I can try, some different vegan options. And it's going pretty well. But now I'm feeling like, what about my family? And I want to, so for science, for the spring term, we're going to be getting into veganism as a health and nutrition and scientific kind of ecological, study, so that my almost 14-year-old can understand. She just realized yesterday, like Lent started Ash Wednesday, February 14th. She just realized when they got cheese pizza and I wasn't eating it. And this wasn't the first time they've gotten cheese pizza and I didn't eat it, but she just noticed and was shocked that I was not consuming dairy. So I'm going to talk to her about why, read her some things that I printed off from the internet. We started watching a video together as a family called Vegucated, a documentary DVD. And, you know, my husband is resisting the idea because he likes milk. And it's not about whether or not you like milk. I mean, yeah, I like milk too. Organic milk, it tastes good. And it's a comfort food, isn't it? Because we grew up with milk. We were told milk does a body good. Got Milk with the mustaches, remember those ads? You need the calcium, especially a woman. What about osteoporosis, etc.? So, okay, I've gone over 20 minutes, so I'm just going to wrap it up for now. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've learned something or it's been interesting or got you thinking about something you hadn't thought of before. And if this goes well, then I'll make another part and share more about this journey and some more information. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.